Hello world, today's artist, Janet Jackson.
Dynamite!
Wrong JJ.
But she was a good time.
And we're gonna have a good time today. Man, there's so many directions I want to go. But first, if you notice, we just got done doing 3 We Are the World videos.
But before that, we did John Wayne,
Yes,
and who was before that?
Jay Giles.
Jay Giles. So this is our third J.
So it's not JJ, it's JJJ. But anyways, the reason I mentioned We Are the World, because in one of those videos I said, where's Janet Jackson? You know where she was? Waiting 25 years for the 25th anniversary.
She did the sequel.
She was in the sequel,
Yeah.
which came a year after Michael's death, which
Okay.
is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't remember watching any videos of her acknowledging Michael's death. She probably did, but
Yeah. Now, she's still alive, but her career kind of reminds me of Whitney Houston a little bit.
right.
Especially not her very first 2 albums, but the 2 that Control.
Yeah,
really
Whitney
made.
at least didn't have those 2 albums where like we don't care about those.
Although
at the beginning,
Janet's very first album, she has the same hairstyle as Whitney on her first album.
Yeah.
And they're both in water, I think. I don't know
yeah,
if
she's
they're
in
both water.
a swimming pool or something,
Yeah.
and then Dream Street. Those 2 albums usually remind me of Alanis Morissette when she was on Nickelodeon. Because if you watch those songs, that's what it is. It's like Disney pop. But okay, so February 16th, Ederline DeBarge died.
Okay.
She,
DeBarge.
she is the mother of James DeBarge, which Janet Jackson was married to.
Yes.
Secretly. So nobody knew.
She told
apparently.
people after they got divorced, I think. She made it known.
Yes. So her career started 3 albums in, basically.
Yeah.
And she pulled away from her family because I think her family
Yeah, it was in control.
was in control of her first 2 albums. Obviously, she was young.
Yes.
So,
But Whitney Houston, okay, so Whitney Houston, she put out an album, she broke records, right? Then she went a second album, broke even more records by the hits, like, wow, 4 singles for a song, wow, 5 singles for a song. And
You're
Janet
thinking-
Jackson, but
you're
her
thinking, what record can Janet break? That would be
it.
7 top 10 hits
Yeah.
on a single album.
She also, it was like, she has a record of like 18 consecutive
Top 20
top
songs.
20s.
Yes.
And she broke a record for female artists, but she
Right.
didn't break the record because that Elvis Presley and the Beatles did it.
Yeah.
But besides that, she's third.
She also reminds me of Paula Abdul because her and Paula, well, obviously Paula Abdul was in her videos.
Yeah.
She started people's careers.
Yeah, okay.
She started Paula Abdul. Jennifer Lopez was in one video. That's The Way Love Goes. Is she in that one? That's one
I
of them.
don't know which one she was.
I
in.
think that's what she was in. She was one of the people inside the apartment when they were put on her music.
Unfortunately, we won't be doing Jennifer Lopez. She's 90s,
yes.
and starting with A Living Color. So
Yeah, and then the 2 other artists, so that Minju
Don't even try.
House Song, he was in that video where the one guy's rocking on that half circle on the beach.
Okay.
And yeah, he's famous for something. I forget exactly what he was in, but I know he was in Blood Diamond with Leonardo DiCaprio.
The artist I like that she worked with is Q-Tip. Because I use those.
Same video though, Antonio Sabato Jr.
Okay.
before he was famous. Now, I don't know what he's famous for because I looked at his filmography and I'm like, I know him. I don't recall seeing him in anything.
Yeah, and speaking of films, I thought she did more than she did. She only did 5 or 6
5 or
films.
6. But the 2 during her career, Poetic Justice,
which was her debut.
yes, and then like a decade later,
She did
the Second Nutty Professor.
yeah.
With
And she also did the who is that does the married
Tyler Perry.
Tyler Perry? Okay.
Something about we.
Why did we get married?
And
Why
a
did we get married
sequel.
too? Something like that.
Right. And she was in a slew of TV shows too. Besides Good Times, she was on Different Strokes. I forget what the other show was. Don't ask.
Fame. She was
What?
on Fame.
Fame, that's right. Yeah. She didn't sing the theme song.
The thing about Fame was I read she said the cast picked on her. Or played pranks on her.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So then she got famous and hopefully got them all back. Like,
Yeah. Her getting him back is like,
nah, you know,
oh, this money smells so good.
No, what I would think would be like Billy Madison.
Oh, yeah. Once you got the dodgeball.
Steve Buscemi's character had the list of names.
Oh.
And then Adam Sandler's character called him and said, "I'm sorry for picking on you."
And
And he crossed his name off.
like he was going to
Yeah.
do something to it.
Yeah, so Janet Jackson has the list.
All right. So she other than her music, she's famous for a lot of other things, obviously, and I've mentioned a few of them. She is the inspiration for YouTube
Yeah, I did. It was because of the Super Bowl incident.
because people wanted to pause.
Because the guy who created, or I don't know if it was the guy who created YouTube, but he's like, I couldn't find the video, so he's just desperately searching for it. So he's like, I'm a video.
And that's why we have YouTube, because of that.
Yeah.
She is the youngest Jackson of 10, though. That's why she wasn't in the Jackson 5 and all that. She's too young.
But
When you look at Michael, he was young when he was the lead singer.
but
so-
amazing that her career, she got blacklisted really because of that incident.
Yes.
Which is funny because Justin Timberlake didn't, and his career went up.
Right.
He got bigger. So
And it sounds like it's more his fault than her fault, right?
yeah, you would think because they say he was supposed to pull away that piece, and there's supposed to still be
Right.
a
The
bra
bra or
there
something.
or something. It wasn't.
Which, yeah, do you believe that?
I don't. Now, I remember I remember at being at a house
Yeah.
watching it. Nobody else saw it. I saw it, and I'm like, did I just see that? And then the alarm came on the next morning, and they were talking about it. I'm like, oh, so I did.
I didn't see it either. I was watching the Super Bowl, but at that point, halftime shows started sucking.
Yeah.
So you tune out. You watch the commercials. Now you don't even watch the commercials. So what is there to watch? You can't watch the stupid woke commercials. All right. So what album would you get? Control or Rhythm Nation?
Rhythm Nation.
Yes, me too. And yeah, record for most consecutive top 20s. That's pretty impressive, though.
Yeah. Now,
You would think Madonna would have been in that list, but apparently she couldn't.
speaking of Madonna, okay, so it also said that Janet Jackson was then called the Queen of Pop, and I'm like, I was reading that going, no, that was Madonna, and I typed in Madonna, Queen of Pop came up. I'm like, okay, who is it? Is it Madonna was, and then Janet took over, or I don't know. I would think, if anything, Janet was Queen of Crop. No, not crop. Crap. No, prop. Pop rap.
Oh, okay.
Sort of. Like, I think Nasty was kind of like
You
a
know what?
rap-ish.
She does have a record though regarding Grammys.
Okay.
Her music, because of how many styles there are, she has at least nominations in 5 different genres of music.
That's another record she had. She's had number ones in 4 decades. 4 different decades.
Yes.
So she had that record.
4 different decades.
She's
number
in the
one
Guinness
albums.
Book of, she's
Number 1 albums. She's had a number of
Okay.
album hit the Billboard Top 100.
She's also, because of these records, she's in the Guinness Book of World Records like 7 times.
Yeah.
So.
Still doesn't beat Whitney. But she does have Rhythm Nation because it came out at the tail end of 88, I think. Maybe it's 89. I should look behind. 89. So Miss You Much was a number 1 in 89.
Right,
She had a number 1 in 90.
Right.
And then a number.
Yeah,
like
so
Black
for that
Cat.
one album, she had hits
3 years in a row
3 years.
having a number 1 in 3 consecutive years. So nobody else has ever done that.
Yep. So good. She's broke a whole bunch of records. Like Whitney was beating records, and then suddenly Janet comes out, and then Janet's beating all these
So,
records.
man, is that a lot of stuff. And yeah, and she hasn't put anything out since 2015. She knew when to stop.
Yeah.
Madonna, not so much. By the way, I mean, we're not on Madonna. But I thought I saw his education. There was a meme on there that said if you were to time travel from now back to the late 80s, you say, hey, guess what? In 25 years, Roseanne Barr is going to be better looking than Madonna. People wouldn't believe it. She does. She looks better looking than Madonna. That's kind of funny. Anyway, so that's all I got. By the way, can we name any artists? Would we be able to name most of the artists on the We Are the World sequel?
No, Miley Cyrus. Miley Cyrus is on there. I think.
Was she?
I think.
I don't think so. In 2010, that's when it would have been. Was she on
She
it?
was.
Okay, maybe she was. I don't know.
She had Hannah Montana.
My son played that, and I'm like, I couldn't name any of those people, other than
Yeah.
they used Michael's imagery on it. She sang with him, but it was obviously just pulling the 85 into that video.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and get to the top 10 because that's all I have for her outside.
Yeah, me too.
All right, so each of us has 3 honorable mentions.
Yeah.
So we disagree a lot on her.
Yeah, we disagree a lot with the world too because she has all these accolades, and yet what number is she? Like
We're on
in the
90
something.
We're on 90, so it took a while. But I mean, look back at all the artists
Yeah.
we've gone through.
And
It's
look
the
at
reason
us.
it's-
Look at us.
And do we look like Janet Jackson
No.
fans? Yeah, and there's probably some artists we
My wife was a fan.
and even the hard rockers are wondering, you still haven't done Guns N' Roses?
Oh, yeah,
You guys
yeah.
were clicking off. Okay. So, the 3, let's go with your 3 first. And she's got an equal amount of slow and fast, although, she's considered R&B and, obviously hip hop.
Yeah.
So, your Come Back to Me. That's a slower one, right?
Come back to me. Yeah.
Yeah, so the Come Back to Me is one you had. And then her other ones that did, from Control that didn't make it, her first 2. Nasty and What Have You Done For Me Lately, which I use to plug our We Are the World. But, to me, when those last 2, Nasty and it's like they're talking songs.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's...
What's the thing with her voice too? That's another thing about her voice. She's not like, she wasn't like the top singer also of
Right.
the 90s. That was Mariah Carey beat her in that.
You're right.
Maybe even albums sold. I don't think she sold the
That's
most
right.
albums. Mariah Carey beat her in it.
Beat her on something, yeah.
But she doesn't have that kind of voice like Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey. In fact, her songs are more like she's almost got a whisper singing sometimes.
Yeah, you're right. She does have some songs that do complement her voice, but a lot of them she
must have done that one with Michael because that was called Scream. Weren't they screaming?
I think the scream was him.
Okay.
Because he literally screams in the camera in the video. Okay, so those are your 3. My 3, Black Cat, which was the number 1, and that when I say 5 genres of music, that put her in the hard rock category. Good guitar solo. That has to do with the drug and gangster lifestyle.
You're number 1. Not going to be in the top 10.
Yeah. Of course, the Black Cat is a panther, which means it's a Black Panther. I wish you ever a Black Panther. Someone to Call My Lover, which has a good acoustic guitar.
Well,
sound to
that's Ventura Highway from America.
You saw that video too, huh?
Well, no, I'm saying America, the
Yeah.
band.
Yes.
They had that song and they sampled from it.
Professor of Rock just did a video on that song
Oh, okay.
this week. And then Rhythm Nation is my other song. So I probably put a boatload of Rhythm Nation songs on my top 10. Okay, so those are my 3. Black Cat was a number 1, so I disagree. You put it way down there.
Yeah, I didn't care for
I think it's like Rod Stewart's Lost in You. You're putting it down. Like, did you even listen to it?
Yes, I after you said it was your number 1, I went back and listened to it. I'm still
Okay.
like, nope, you don't like it.
All right, whatever. Okay, but our number 10, neither one of us actually put it in the top 10, but
Okay.
because we disagree
Yeah,
so much,
yes.
here it is
Yep.
at 10. I had it at 12, you had it at 14, and it's our farthest song out, her most recent on our list.
Okay.
2004. So this came after the Super Bowl incident, I think. So it was on Demita Joe, which is her middle two names.
Yeah.
Two names for her middle name.
J-O. I know her
Demita
dad's name
Joe.
is Joe, J-O-E.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this one only went up to 45 on the rankings, but it's just a
that was
little
another
while.
thing I read. I read her dad told her to call him by his first name. So she didn't call him daddy or dad or father. She called him Joe. That's kind of weird.
Maybe he wasn't her real dad. But
Maybe that's why.
right. Don't call me dad. I'm not your dad. Anyways, it's just a little while as our number 10. And I couldn't even tell you how it's going. Right now, I can't even think of what does it sound
What
like?
does it sound like? Yeah, it doesn't matter. We don't usually sing them anyways.
Okay. Which is why it's not in my top 10. Okay. Number 9. Coming from Control. Control. Which you have way out there at 17. And I have it at 6. Control.
That's the verse.
Control. Yeah.
Right, chorus.
And this reminds me, you know what it reminds me of, at least the video, of the song Bad. Because it's like a 10-minute video, and you have to go 4 or 5 minutes into the video before the music even starts. That's like Bad. He has like
Yeah.
a small movie. Next one up. Similar, on the same album, On Control. At number 8, I have this, both of us have it at 10. The Pleasure Principle.
Did you read the lyrics so we know what the pleasure principle is?
I did not.
Okay.
But I do know this. She has a lingerie line now. It's called The Pleasure Principle.
Oh, okay.
So I don't think that's what it was about in the song.
The pleasure principle it was defined by Sheryl Crow, which
Okay.
is if it makes you happy, it can't be that bad. Right?
I guess. Yes. And if you want to experience the Pleasure Principle, you go to the Pleasure Dome. Says Frankie.
Or
goes
Frankie.
on.
That's a Hollywood.
Okay, number 7, coming from Janet. So outside of Rhythm Nation and Control, the only other album that has multiple songs on our list, Janet. And that's obviously the album cover that her
Wait, it was on a magazine.
her
It was-
other husband, Rolling Stone, I think.
Yeah.
Other husband was holding her, you know what. Anyways, you have this at 5, and I have this at 15, so it's like Control and reversed. And this one's called Again. And I think a lot of people...
Say that again.
Again. And she does have a song later called Together Again.
Okay, yeah. Not Jekyll and Hyde.
Yes, and
Do
this...
that again.
Somebody in
What's the movie you were trying to think of videos back?
Oh,
The
yeah,
old
yeah.
guy.
So, somebody in the comment section on the video, somebody made it sound like it sounds too much like it's the ending song of a Disney animated movie. kind of felt like it. That was a number 1 though. It went all the way to number 1 in 1993.
We can just assume most of these are number ones because
She-
she have a lot. She have a lot. Of,
she had
how
10.
many number ones did she have?
She had 10 number 1s.
Okay.
6 of them are on our list. Black Cat is one that's not because you didn't like it. And I think I don't think Nasty was Nasty a number 1? Might have been. I don't
I
think
don't know.
What Have You Done For Me Lately was not. So Nasty might have been. Or no, it wasn't. You know what? It was not. I'll tell you why. Okay, number 6. Coming from their greatest hits album, Design of a Decade. I have this at 4. You have it at 15. Runaway. Which she's not actually running away. She's practically flying.
Leaping from.
Leaping from...
I don't want to say building to building because it's
No.
more like.
It's the 7 wonders of the world.
Yeah, so it's more like the leap that the Hulk does in Hulk with Eric Bana.
Yeah, yeah.
Or when he jumps, it's
Right.
like he's flying. Until he lands. It's that kind of jump.
Hers actually is more realistic
Okay.
than the Hulk's.
Yeah. And then this is where she started wearing piercings.
Yeah,
in her
and then when
nose
the
and-
septum is that where?
Yeah.
Actually, the septum's when it's right.
Yeah,
between
yeah,
the
she had
nostrils.
a she had a
to
chain
one
from
side.
for nostril to your ear.
Yeah, so I don't. Did she start that trend?
maybe I don't know.
Maybe I don't know. Yeah, but I mean, I actually like the music behind, even though the video is actually kind of good to watch because at least she's happy, she's smiling,
And it's colorful.
Colorful.
and it's bright. It's not in the dark.
yes,
Like her videos, like Rhythm Nation or Control or whatever. They're in
Right.
that warehouse where they're dancing like the lights.
yeah,
Are,
she's
the
actually,
lights are dim and
and
yeah.
it's singing. It's not the talking. It's like,
Yes, yes.
And she says those weird words, da da be doo doo, whatever that means. Okay, that was number 6. Number 5, her first number 1 off of Rhythm Nation, "Miss You Much." You have this at 3, I had it at 13, if I'm correct.
Who was our last artist before We Are the World? John Waite.
John, I think it was John.
John Waite. Okay, so this will be our tie-up.
Yes, "Missing You."
Missing you and miss you by.
But in that song, he says, "I ain't missing you."
Oh yeah,
So this one, she actually does miss the person.
but he does too.
Yes.
'Cause his heart is all in turmoil.
Right.
He's, I'm not missing you.
Yes. And she does a Daryl Hall and John Oates, they spell out "Method of Modern Love."
Right.
She spells out MISS. I miss you much.
Yeah.
Okay, this was her first number 1 off of this album. Probably because of how choppy it is. I actually don't like that, and that's why it's not in my top 10. All right, I was in mid thought, and you cut me off. That's why I couldn't remember. But when we did our individual years on songs, and we showed what the world liked Billboard wise,
Okay.
this was the number 1 song of 1989, according to the Billboard chart.
Okay.
That's what it was. Okay, so "Miss You Much." Apparently that was why was that the number 1 song of 1989? I don't know.
Because the 80s were going downhill.
That's right.
They're getting the 90s where they stink.
All right, so that's, yeah. That was number 5. Number 4.
90s were still better than today.
That's right. So number 4, both of us put at number 7. So yeah, it creeped way up despite us wanting it way down. Coming from Janet, so 2 songs from Janet.
All these songs come from Janet.
That's the way love goes.
Yeah. Now they're all laying around an apartment, right?
Yeah, and she didn't want the song to
Yeah.
play or something, and do 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 do. I don't know. I think is that the boyfriend from the cover
I don't
that
know.
she's singing with on the step?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe.
If that- And they're no longer married, right? Is she married right now?
No.
Okay, so she had those 2.
She has a kid though. She has a kid, and then she had a baby in January, and then got divorced 4 months later. And that was her last marriage partner.
Okay. Yeah, so that's the way love goes. I believe this is the one Jennifer Lopez was in. Yeah, but it's probably her most R&B kind type of song, you know. Okay, number 3. To me, this was my favorite song to watch the video to back when it was on. Number 3 coming from Rhythm Nation. I had this at 3. You had it at 6. "Love Will Never Do," and in parentheses, "Without You." Now, it used to be where, at least Bible-wise, we've been told if you take out what's in the parentheses, it still would make sense.
Oh, okay.
Not in the song, because that would mean love will never do. You have to put "without you." Right?
This is equivalent of Whitney Houston's "I Want to Dance with Somebody Who Loves Me."
You mean anybody?
Yeah.
You're that hobo over there. Okay, so yeah, "Love Will Never Do," "Without You," and yeah, it's not, well, it's a mix between black and white. Apparently, she's showing her navel
Yeah.
more often. She did lose weight. Because there's a video where she looked a little bit chunkier. Might be our next song that I'm going to mention.
Yeah, she's wrote a book, and I think that talks about her weight loss too. I mean, people always make she's in the limelight. Of course, people are going to talk about somebody's weight.
Yeah. Okay. Coming in at number 2, our last song we'll mention from Control. Your number 1 for her, my number 5. When I Think of You. And I think this is the song where I noticed she looks a little chunkier than normal.
Okay, I just like the intro where they have all those. Something comes in here, it's like da, 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 and then the horns da, 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 just keeps introducing more instruments.
It's hard to hear that when you watch the video, though.
Okay.
Because it's got the West Side Story, and you got everybody coming out of their apartments, and the guy shouting, "Turn on music down!"
That's when they have a set and a real car drives onto a fake set. It's just so noticeable. It's like that car should not be there.
Yeah. So yeah, this was probably the best song off of Control. That's what I think. You put it as your number 1, so you think it's the best.
So I obviously know what the number 1 is if that's not it.
Yes, and the number 1 is both of our number 2s.
Okay.
And that would be Escapade
Yep.
from Rhythm Nation. And she even shouts, Minneapolis! Which I think is where her studio was. I don't know. Other than that, I don't know why she shouted Minneapolis. It didn't look like Minneapolis when you watch the video. But similar to Runaway, this to me, she looks like she's having the most fun in a video. Yeah, so I like Escapade, baby. Anyways, what's the last song you remember of Janet Jackson
On the radio? Well, it'd be
when she came out with it, or video.
well, the last song I remember on the radio is the one with Ventura Highway. What's it called? So
Oh yeah,
Be
love
Lover.
someone to call my
Someone to
lover.
Call My
I
Lover.
don't remember that being on the radio.
Yeah, that's the last song I remember on the radio.
I just remember my last image.
The last hit, if you're talking about they play 80s on that's different. I'm not
That's
talking about
different.
that. Is that what you were talking about?
No,
We just heard one last week.
No,
That's
I'm talking
not-
about before she faded
Okay.
away. Would you remember her putting
that
that?
would be the last one.
Every time when they had that video where she had the changed eyes, and controversy over her doing
Okay.
some nude scenes.
Yeah, okay.
In the background, we can barely see anything because it's like a silhouette. But
Okay.
that was the last time I remember her. Apparently, puts a lot of stuff out afterwards. She even combined with a lot of artists.
Yeah, but
I don't
again,
ever remember hearing
That's
any
why
of the songs.
But again, you didn't hear her on the radio because radio blacklisted her.
That's
We're
true.
not playing her on
Right.
purpose.
Yeah. So that would be why after 2004, nothing.
And it had to do with the guy who owned CBS.
Yes.
Because he owned radio stations too, and of course he probably got a big fine. because
Oh
he
yeah,
did.
everybody involved got a big
Yeah.
fine.
So they said the investigation took 8 years. I don't know. How? Why? You have the video in front of you. It's taped. You have the video. Why? Oh, well, I guess
Because
they'd have to-
everybody lied.
They would have to investigate the people that, was it known in advance, I suppose.
Yeah, it's because everybody lies. That's why. It's when they interviewed everybody individually. They're like, it was his fault. There's a lot of finger pointing.
Yep.
Anyways, the reason I brought that up is because these are the songs we know. It's like there was just a slew of songs where I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically the last 3 albums.
Yeah.
You
but
need those shit
if
albums.
you go back through all the artists we've done so far.
Yeah, they always.
They all have albums
They always kept
that
putting stuff
are
out.
past the 90s, and we were like, I didn't even know they were still putting albums out. Yeah. All artists are like that.
Right, right. Okay, so again, it goes back to what we say: '80s music was the best decade. And
Yeah.
even though she was at the tail end of the '80s, I think still most of her good stuff was from the '80s.
Yeah. So, I mean, even though some of the videos she acted like a tramp, most people say she's pretty super.
Super.
So that's who we're doing next.
Yeah, we're going from the Super Bowl to the Super Tramp.
Yeah.
That was. So.
That was such a smooth segue right there.
So for now, goodbye, stranger.